Hey, what's going on YouTube? So today I'm going to showcase a 1-bar Oakensoul build for Brittleden. Brittledens are basically Magicka Wardens who are in charge of keeping minor brittle on the enemy. What minor brittle is going to do is it's going to increase the crit damage that they take by 10% for all of your group members. This build is capable of pulling over 78k DPS on the parse dummy. This build is not a solo build and is optimized for group content. Furthermore, I'll be using a mythic in Oakensoul, so this is not a super beginner friendly build, but rather more for endgame players who prefer 1-bar builds. So starting off in the character sheet, I have 64 points in a Magicka, and I'm running the Thief Mundus. For the race, we're a high elf because I think high elves have some of the best passives for Magicka DPS. For the food, we're going to be running Clockwork Citrus Fillet as our in-content food. A cheaper and almost just good alternative would be Witch Mother's Potent Brew. And lastly, if you're parsing or just flat out need more sustain, then Ghastly Eyeball is always the go-to. For the potions, since we're running Oakensoul and it gives us access to major sorcery and major prophecy, we can opt to just use Essence of Magicka, and make sure you have 3 points in medicinal use to benefit from the full duration of the potions. So for the CP, for the blue tree, we're going to be running Master at Arms, Deadly Aim, Wrathful Strikes, and Backstabber. Swap out Backstabber for Fighting Finesse if you're unable to flank the enemy. For the red tree, we're going to be running Boundless Vitality, Rejuvenation, Siphoning Spells, and Celerity, but you can replace Celerity with anything you'd need. Sustained by Suffering is a good choice, and Fortified is also another valid choice. So for the gear, we're going to be running a 5-2-2-1 setup, meaning we have one arena weapon, two 2-piece sets, and one 5-piece set. So breaking it down in the main hand, we have a Master's Ice Staff, which is going to be traded in Precise with the flame damage enchant. For the head and shoulders, we have 2 pieces of Kjarnar, both in light, traded in Divines with Max Mag enchants. For 3 pieces of the body, so in this case we have chest, hands, and legs, we have 3 pieces of Pillar and Nirn, all traded in Divines with Max Mag enchants. And for 2 other pieces of the body, we have 2 pieces of Order's Wrath. So waist and feet are both Order's Wrath. It can be any 2-piece that has 1 line of crit chance because that's all we're going to use. Both of these are in Divines with the Max Mag enchant. And lastly, we have 2 pieces of Pillar and Nirn Jewelry, both traded in Bloodthirsty with spell damage enchants, and the Oakensoul Ring, which is also Bloodthirsty with a spell damage enchant as well. For the skills, we're going to be running Subterranean Assault, Frost Reach, Unstable Wall of Frost, Fetcher Infection, Winter's Revenge, and Wild Guardian. So for the rotation, we're just going to be basing it off of a Subterranean Assault, meaning we cast that every 6th skill, or Sub Assault, and then 5 skills after that. The 3 dots we need to keep up are going to be Fetcher Infection, Winter's Revenge, and Unstable Wall of Frost. And then when you have nothing better to cast, you can just use your spammable Destructive Reach. And then whenever your ultimate Wild Guardian is ready, just activate that. And if you're parsing, then you can pre-buff with Northern Storm as well. So for closing thoughts, the reason we're running Master's Ice Staff is because it gives us a ton of weapon and spell damage once we activate our Destructive Reach. So it just works well because we need to use Destructive Reach with an Ice Staff to keep up Brittle 100% of the time. So in terms of gear alternatives, you can replace your body set with something else. By body, I'm talking about Pillar and Nirn, your only 5-piece set. Other options that I tested out were Whirl Adepts and Sororia, and they were both pretty similar. Pillar just performed a slightly bit better than both of those sets. And if you don't have Master's Ice Staff, you can always opt to run another 5-piece bonus set. Any of the usual sets would work fine. I do have to note that you shouldn't run more than 4 pieces of medium armor just because the sustain is going to be lacking. And I think that wraps it up. Thanks for watching the video as always, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, or better yet, come join our Discord. My website is now available to the public, and I'll try my best to update it for every build I make. Furthermore, I'd like to get into content creation full time, so I've started a channel membership for those who would like to help support me. One added perk is that members get build request priority. Both of the links will be in the description. And lastly, if you feel like the builds have helped you in any way, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Thanks again for watching. Attached is a parse and outfit section, and see you in the next one.